Hello, everyone. How do I do this? Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and welcome. Before we start, I would like to invite Harry to give the land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Gertrude. Hello, everyone. Good day. As we gather here today to honor Dr. Winston LaRose at the beginning of our Black History Month activities for 2023, I reflected of our many ancestors on the continent and the diaspora who risked so much, who did so much so that we can be here today. I think too of no less a person than the indefatigable Harriet Tubman, after whom our institute is named, the many risks she took, the many people she was able to help, and in some way make it possible for us to be here today. And I also think that as long as we have conditions that allow the brutalization of our people, the way we witnessed recently with Tyree Nichols, we can't rest. Our work continues all the time. Nevertheless, York University has a land acknowledgement, which I'll read now as we open the ceremonies. York University recognizes that many indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on traditional territory of the many indigenous nations. The area known as Tikaranto has been caretaken by the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region, which we continue to do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. At this time, I'll invite the director of the Tubman Institute, Professor Gertrude Mianda, to give opening remarks.
Thank you, Matt. Hello again, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for coming. We are here today to celebrate the 2023 Black History Month at the Harriet Tubman Institute. Black history is a time to celebrate history. A few days ago, I heard a wise Black woman saying that history is not the past, it is the present. I am not an historian, but it made me think she might be right. Looking back in the past, we see injustice, struggle, resilience, resistance, accomplishment, victories. From the past, we learn lessons. The past guides us in the present. Last week, we saw injustice again with the killing of a young Black man, reminding us that injustice is still with us today in the present. the fight is not over. We saw resistance. Through resistance, we will come accomplishments. Black History Month is the time to pause and to reflect on those accomplishments. At the Harriet Tubman Institute, we decided this year to celebrate leaders of our community who inspire us through their accomplishments and resistance. They paving a way for future generations. It is our honor to celebrate Dr. Winston, Mr. Jen and Finch, as we call him. He stands as a role model for many of us. So I don't want to take so much time talking about him because our distinguished speakers know better than me. So I'll let them talking about our elders, as I call him, my father, Mr. Winston.
Thank you, Professor Gertrude, for those wonderful words. At this time, we are pleased to have Vice President, Equity, People and Culture, Dr. Sheila Kote. She's joining us virtually, so she will give her remarks at this time. Thank you.
Bonjour, Kwekwe, bonjour, and warm greetings to you all in the room, as well as those who have joined by Zoom. A welcome to the Harriet Tubman Institute Black History Month kickoff for 2023. I'm pleased to say that this year's theme is Black resistance, and the aim of the theme is to acknowledge the many achievements of the Black community in the face of multiple struggles, through focusing on activities related to the accomplishments of Africans and people of African descent. Throughout the month, the Harriet Tubman Institute will spotlight leaders in the Toronto community through a series of panels remembering achievements in the face of these struggles. Black History Month is an important opportunity to recognize the contributions, achievements, and histories of Black students, staff, faculty, course instructors, and alumni, and the many ways in which they enrich the university experience year-round. Anti-Black racism is entrenched in Canadian society, and it has been a part of academia since its inception. And we recognize here at York University the role that we must play in creating safer, more inclusive, and more equitable learning, teaching, research, and professional environments. We are committed to our goal of addressing anti-Black racism on all our campuses, and we do this by ensuring that we are intentional about assessing, for instance, admission approaches, creating safer spaces for members of the Black community to convene, engaging in dialogue, and to allow people to exist without scrutiny. York is committed to pursuing the ongoing work through the action plan and framework on Black inclusion, and we're grateful to the community for the input provided on the development of that plan. So while there is much work to do over the next years to come to address systemic anti-Black racism, we will continue to work hard at fostering equitable and inclusive spaces, both on our campuses and in our communities. I'd like to take now an opportunity to welcome Mr. Winston LaRose, who we are honoring today for the monumental work he has done for the Black community, especially the Jane and Finch community. Currently, Winston LaRose is the Executive Director of the Jane and Finch Concerned Citizens Organization. He has worked with the Jane Finch concerned citizens organization in this capacity for quite some time, since 1999. Winston LaRose has had an extensive career in health services and was a registered nurse in Canada from 1964 until his retirement at age 65 in 2002. He was a psychotherapeutic counselor in the mental health field at the Clarke Institute in Toronto and several other mental health facilities in Toronto, Burlington, and Hamilton. He also operated the Fairview Counselling Services in Burlington, Ontario for 5 years, and also owned a nursing home in Hamilton. As demonstrated by his outstanding career, Mr. LaRose has been a dedicated caregiver of the mind, body, and soul, and was the heart of the communities where he has worked and served over the years. So please join me in giving him a warm welcome as we honor him today. Miigwech, merci, and thank you.
Thank you so much, VP Sheila Kotemik, for those wonderful remarks, which actually captures as well the person who we are honoring today. So at this time, we shall be hearing from a couple of individuals who will share some very interesting insights and what they have also gathered for the past couple of years. They have engaged with Mr. LaRose. The beauty of being also a moderator is that you have the powers to tell people to stop when they exceed the time. So again, because of time constraints, each speaker has got just 10 minutes. So please stick to time. And if I realize that you are extending the time allocated to you, then I would gently remind you to stop. So without much ado, it is our pleasure to invite Ms. Rosemary Sadley to give her remarks. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Sadler, and many of you would know me as having been the president of the Ontario Black History Society from about 1993 to 2015. And it was during that time in particular that I came to know Winston LaRose. Now, I have a few things I want to say in terms of giving you a sense of this man outside of these fabulous robes and his role with Jane Finch Community Services. But let me just start by saying that I truly love him and I truly appreciate him. And I say that because when you have somebody that loves you and respects you and honors you, it's so easy to feel the same way about them. And as you may know, there are sometimes challenges within the Black community. And Winston was more than aware of some of these challenges. And we've already had commentary on the broader community. But let me just read a couple of things that other people have said about Winston, and then I will add some more. So his name is Winston LaRose, but to countless Torontonians, he is known as Mr. Jane Finch, a fitting tribute forever connecting him to the community he loves. A dedicated neighborhood advocate, LaRose, now Dr. LaRose, is known for standing up for people who lack a voice. And many of them new to Canada, immigrants, and helping to address their often neglected concerns. He, today, is going to be honored for his leadership in this area as being, by all accounts, a champion for the Black community. but not just the Black community, for the people of Jane Finch, who are in and of themselves a multicultural group. You may know, but we will reinforce this. He's Guyanese, born and raised from South America. And he traveled the world before moving to Canada in 1964, where he began his career as a registered nurse for the Clarke Institute of Psychiatry. He had grown up during independence in Guyana, and because of political leaders across Africa and the Caribbean and free countries that he had the opportunity to observe, Canada became his country of choice, moving away from colonial rule with quotation marks. However, struggles help to inform who Winston LaRose is and how he managed in his adopted country. He has said, "I see myself in Jane and Finch as symbolizing the character of Blackness and the contributions of Black people to world civilization." He has kept his sense of dignity and achievements front and center in everything he does. And no, while I'm not going to outline his struggles and his challenges, he has had them. We all have. But he says, I'm sorry, I just read that. He's also an entrepreneur. He became the executive director of the Jane Finch Concerned Citizens organization, which helps residents, and he has dealt and continues actually to deal with issues ranging from police brutality through to deportation, all with a focus and an interest in doing what he can for local Black youth. For a number of years, for a couple of decades, he took public transit, God don't do that now, from his home in Burlington, Ontario, to the organization's office at Jane and Finch in order to, as he said, he lives in Burlington. No, he lives in Jane Finch, but he sleeps in Burlington. So he became an advocate for the community, helping local entrepreneurs, lobbying for educational reforms, and he has dedicated himself to neighborhood development, but that is not all. As he says, I'm active, I'm vibrant, but I don't stop. So in addition to his public service, LaRose has recorded the experiences of many Black people in the community, as well as around the world, completing nearly 5,000 hours of video presentations. And that he wasn't paid. This is without grant money. I think that's really important for people to remember. Maybe one, little one, but mostly with no grants. What he also went on to say is part of what I wanted to do was to capture the pains and the joys and the glory of people of African descent. So one more thing, just from what I want to just recount for the record. A number of years ago, Winston was interviewed and he was responding to what 5 leaders in Canada that he thought were important. And the title of the article, which you can all Google, is 5 Black Canadian Leaders Who Inspired a Generation. So he could have chosen anyone to speak about. He could have chosen anyone not to speak about. But here are the people that he profiled. I won't get into all of the details here, but he profiled Jean Augustine. He profiled Dudley Laws. He profiled Mikhail Jean. He profiled Charlie Roach. I think in the paper they call him Charles. We all knew him as Charlie. And he also profiled me. And I think that this really speaks to who Winston is as a person. He wasn't just looking at the people who can get him something, because I have no power and access. He was looking at people who have actually shared a part of his journey in order to reflect, affirm, or commemorate Black people. So his name is Winston, right? So what does the W stand? No. It stands for wonderful. It stands for witness, because Winston was in his work in chronicling people, he was a witness for many important historical aspects of our community, including the Million Man March, including going to Jamaica and being able to see, visit the Accompagn, including the first formal national commemoration of February as Black History Month in Ottawa, where he took film capturing the reality that I was the only non-elected person on the stage with the Prime Minister and the Black Caucus of 4 people at the time. So he's a witness to our story in this country. The I is for his intelligence. He has amazing people skills, incredible insight, and he's an inspiration to so many people. That's why Peter Blake is here, his dedicated helper, and others. What's the N for? He's nice. He was a nurse. But you know what's scary? He's nimble. Oh, he runs. He's got awards for his running. He invites people to come and celebrate his birthday by joining him for a run. I'm happy to go for a walk personally. But at his 80th birthday party, he had this scantily clad, scandalous woman dancing really well. And I thought, well, she was like the show. No, he's entitled. But I wasn't prepared for was that he was soon out front dancing with this woman, keeping up, leading her. She was left breathless and he was still ready to go. So it's like, I knew from that moment I would never, ever, ever agree to dance with Winston. Never. S is for service. He's been an incredible service to us all in telling our story. And we all know about his contribution to Jane Finch Community Services. And S also for me represents what I remember about the first time I really have a clear pointed memory of connecting with Winston. We were on the stairs outside the ROM, and it was Gwen Chapman was starting her, at the time she was working on trying to be involved in news and interviewing people. And so there we were, Gwen interviewing me and Winston also being part of that process. And that was when I knew that this would be somebody that would be continue to be part of my life because he's part of Black history. T is for trust, because I think that what you see is what you get. But it's also because he's a Toastmaster. This is a man who spoke for forever when he got his honorary doctorate. No notes in front of a packed convocation hall. O is for outspoken, and his dedication to organization, Jane Finch. And N is for never stopping. His contribution to our community is stellar, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Rosemary, for those wonderful words, which again also we can tell comes from your heart. And at this time, I'm going to invite Cheryl to give her remarks.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Master of Ceremonies. I promise that I will not speak for 10 minutes, actually. Shorter than that. I will gift back some time because and it's Rosemary is such a hard act to follow. She did it all. I did not do the wording, the letters of Winston's name, but there are so many words that you can't keep us to 10 minutes. So I decided to go in the other direction. But the words that come to my mind as I think of Winston, I think of courage, commitment, passion, empathy, patience, integrity, resilience. And the one that is at the top of my list is caring. Because this man, from the time I've met him, and I just wanted to, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Cheryl Prescott. I'm the executive director of a community health center here in the Jane Finch community, Black Creek Community Health Center, where I've worked for about 20 years. And I met Mr. Jane and Finch when I started working in Jane and Finch. And I will never forget the feelings, just the feelings that were elicited by meeting him. And I happened to be, the most important thing was we are from the same country, so that really made me very proud. As someone who immigrated to this country as a child, we often lose the sense of who we are. And it's so great to meet other great leaders in our community. So that was my highlight of moving to the community. So I think I'll just talk a little bit about what I know and what I've experienced. So the word caring comes to mind because without the care that Dr. LaRose has shown many in the community of Jane and Finch, not only those that reached out for help from his organization, but others like me who have had the privilege to work alongside him. Many of us would have fallen through the cracks of this system that has shown us very little care. So it's an honor and a privilege to be part of this celebration and this acknowledgement of this great man. As I reflect on the vast contributions and accomplishments of Black peoples during this month that's dedicated to Black history, I can't think of a more fitting tribute to you, Dr. LaRose, a true icon in our community. Your commitment, your steadfast commitment to the truth and to the power of Black people is inspiring. I know firsthand how you strive every day to uplift and to empower others in our community. And by community, I speak of our larger community. The experiences that I've had the pleasure of witnessing are a few. So witnessing you providing counsel to community members through your organization, the JFCCO office at Yorkgate Mall, where I first came upon you. Seeing you supporting numerous students, especially newcomers to this country, in their academic pursuits, but also in their career trajectory. Advocating for the rights and just, for what is right and just for so many in the community in the face of injustices at the hands of our health and our social care systems, and in particular, the law enforcement system. And another example that I don't think many know about is when you joined me as I approached you to support the implementation of a nurse practitioner-led clinic, a new model of primary care delivery in Ontario that's to serve the broader Jane Finch community. You were right there alongside me, and you became the chair of the founding board of directors for that organization that now has 2 sites in the community and is serving members of our that deserve care, good care. And finally, I can't say enough about how much I have benefited from your counsel over the years. Your words of praise and your words of encouragement have been invaluable to my success and to my accomplishments, because as we know, as leaders in this system, we're often we often take a lot a lot of hits, and I know that your praise and your encouragement is something that kept me going and encouraged me to continue doing the work that I do. And I can't even imagine doing a fraction of what you've done in your lifetime and that you continue to do. But I do thank you for your support throughout my own career trajectory and my journey. You've been a listening ear, and I knew that you always had my back. So that empowered me to do what I needed to do for our people. So for that unwavering support and guidance, I will be forever grateful. And so many, many other people from this community will be forever grateful. So for all of this, I would just like to thank you for your courage, your commitment, your caring of our people. And I congratulate you on this special, very special recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl, and indeed, you kept your words. You spoke for less than 10 minutes. So, well, we can truly say that Mr. LaRose has left footprints on the sand of time. So at this time, I don't know, is Javen Perron around? I haven't seen him. Okay, so let's move to Gwen Chapman. No, not yet. Okay, Kofi. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be here today to mark the start of Black History Month with Dr. Winston LaRose. And what's very cool about this is the fact it's the second time that I've been part of honoring Dr. LaRose at a post-secondary institution in the last 12 months. Both myself, Professor Mianda, Rosemary Sadler, Gwen Chapman, who was mentioned wasn't here, all of us were there at the ceremony at the University of Toronto this summer, where Winston was bestowed with an honorary doctorate from that institution. And I actually had the privilege of being on stage as I was one of the folks who sent letters of support. And I had that tremendous honor of being the one who got to place the ceremonial doctor's robes on his shoulders. That was a special day. And I can tell you, the look on Dr. LaRose's face was priceless and well-deserved. And now to be honoring him at York's very special event is great. And I think it's about time that our Canadian post-secondary institutions give that proper recognition and respect to our Black community heroes. And so I don't know if anyone's here from TMU, but you folks are next, right? We've had U of T, we've had York. Your time is coming. If Gervin was here, I would have called him out for George Brown. You're up next. But so great to be part of this trend. Now, all joking aside, It's an absolute privilege to be here and speak about a man who truly embodies what it means to be an elder and role model in our Black community. I first met Winston in 2005. I was a student at the University of Toronto, and we were organizing community activism during the so-called Year of the Gun. Mr. LaRose was a steady presence at meetings, at conferences, at deputations, at all kinds of events that we showed up to as young activists, where as a Black community, we spoke in a chorus of voices saying that youth violence in our communities was not a foreign issue imported into our lands. It was not about Black fathers or Black society, but actually this was fully a Canadian issue, that those involved were Canadian young people and all of Canadian society was culpable. And this, in essence, was the poisoned fruits that were born from the scourge of anti-Black racism that exists in our city. And from the start, Dr. LaRose stood out for his gentle spirit, but also his fierceness in his dedication to our community. And he was such a great supporter to myself and all the young leaders who were mobilizing at that time. Through my continued work in Toronto's Black communities after 2005, it became clear that Dr. LaRose stood as a giant in our community, among the likes of long-established community champions like Dudley Laws, Rosemary Sadler, Jean Augustine, and Charlie Roach, to just name a few. And what's crazy is that list, I just found out moments earlier, was the same list that Winston chose to write about. We didn't coordinate it, but sometimes the universe works in that kind of alignment. But just like all of those champions I mentioned, Dr. LaRose, throughout his life, has been a tireless activist for people of African descent, and as was mentioned earlier, a biographer of the popular movements led by Black people over the decades in the city. And myself, others, including Principal Charlie Keel at Innis College at U of T, we've been working to try to get those stories digitized and stored for posterity's sake in U of T's archives, because it's a true treasure trove of footage of significant events that have taken place in our community. And myself, I wrote my PhD around social movements in Canada that connected to the African continent, specifically the anti-apartheid movement. And I can tell you firsthand that we have significant gaps in the historical record when it comes to the work of Black activists in this city and in this country. And so I know for a fact that that work, when it lands in that archive, will be of benefit and incredible value to future scholars and historians, not just in Canada, but all over the world for generations to come. So thank you for that legacy and that gift, Dr. LaRose. So while I met Winston in 2005, it was really during my time working in the Jane and Finch community that I got to know him, first doing work in 2007, and then again being there every day working between 2012 and 2015. And that's where firsthand I got to truly witness Dr. LaRose's impact. The man known to many as Mr. Jane and Finch was a constant presence at Yorkgate Mall, which is where I was working for the beginning of my time in 2012. As has already been mentioned, he was commuting every day into the city, into his office for the Jane Finch Concerned Citizens Organization. And he would always have a steady stream of residents at his door. Folks who are facing economic or personal hardship, he would provide them with personalized supports while also running economic development programs and continuing to advocate for causes that related to the social betterment of the community. Already well beyond retirement age when I met him, Dr. LaRose defines the term tireless community champion. You can see that in his volunteering in JFCCO. But over the years, I came to recognize the decades of sweat equity he invested, not just in Jane and Finch, but in serving Black people across the GTHA. You know, when I was writing my letter of support for Dr. LaRose, it was almost impossible to list all of the organizations this man has been a part of. Arriving in this country in 1964, he wasted little time in getting down to work serving his community, one of the founding members of the Hamilton Guyanese Canadian Association back in 1966. And then afterwards, it's a laundry list of organizations. The Ebony Gardens Not-for-Profit Housing Development, the Black Achievement Organization, Kitty's Caravana Festival, the African Canadian Committee for Entrepreneurial Solidarity and Success, the Daimler Chrysler Hip Hop Summit, the Women on the Move Sewing Program, the Jane and Finch Council of Elders, the Emery Keelsdale Nurse Practitioner Clinic, and the Jane and Finch Economic Community Initiatives. How many groups this man has been a part of is astounding, and that isn't even the full list that I mentioned. So listen, just the fact that to this day, Dr. LaRose celebrates his birthday by running a track race shows you how indomitable this man is. Talk about energy. But the honest truth is, our community has so many hard workers, folks juggling 2, 3, 4 jobs to support their family, who are building businesses and community organizations on the side, or looking after their kids, or giving back to their churches or their mosques. Black Canadians are a community defined by hard work and grit. But what is so important about Dr. LaRose is the extent to which he dedicated his time, his very life force, not to self-enrichment, but to helping his brothers and sisters. And so I can tell you personally that when I came back to Toronto in 2012, working to found and grow the C Center for Young Black Professionals, which I'll take a moment to shout out, is now the largest charity in Canada dedicated to Black youth. Thank you, Winston. And that work was done with the guidance and support of Cheryl Prescott, who spoke earlier. We were incubated at the Black Creek Community Health Center. When I showed up to start that work, it wasn't easy. It was actually extremely difficult. But I got such a lift from that first day or two at that office that who was there to welcome me but Dr. LaRose. He's always been such an amazing supporter of mine, always advocated for me, spoke highly of me, opened doors for me, welcomed me back in the community, and affirmed how important the work I was doing and how important it was that I stayed true to it. And Dr. LaRose, truly that meant a lot. Intergenerational support, mentorship, and guidance is so critical in any community. And as a young leader, it was so important to get that support. And so thank you again, Dr. LaRose, for giving that to me. People who know me, how deeply I try to follow this Southern African concept of Ubuntu, which roughly translated to English means I am because we are. That we exist because our communities exist, that we exist through our communities, and our fate is inseparable from that of our community. Dr. LaRose, you are a living embodiment of this concept of Ubuntu. And your story, your work, is something that I'm happy to show up at any post-secondary institution to talk about, because to be honest, so often in our world, in our consumer culture, it tells us the opposite. So often in the situations Black people face all across Canada and the Western world, we end up in situations where people are pitted against each other. Our divisions of language, geography, ethnicity, philosophy, or faith seem to stick out larger than what we have in common. And so to see your life, a life dedicated to selfless service, that is a message we so desperately need to hear about, not just in February, but every month of the year. So Dr. LaRose, sir, I salute you. And I think of all of the people that you supported in our community, including myself. And on their behalf, again, thank you for that, sir. I am so proud to have had a few minutes today to talk about the Black history that you have made in this country.
Thank you, Kofi, for those wonderful remarks. At this time, I'll call Henry to give a few remarks as well.
Thank you, Nate. I don't have anything written, as you can see, which means I'm going to speak off the cuff today. I just could not allow this opportunity to go by without saying a few words. A few words. This man whom I got to know through community work, Dr. Winston LaRose. Before I do that, I gotta acknowledge Rosemary Sadlier, Cheryl, who I know just a little bit, and of course, Kofi. I know a lot about you, even though we have not been And Zanata Kande, who's sitting here, I've got to say a shout out to Zanata. Good to see you. Good to see you. I got to say to Dr. Angela Davis, okay? Andrea Davis, but I'm honoring you, right? Angela, Andrea Davis, Dr. Davis, Dr. Mianda. I'm doing this because I feel obligated to let you know that I appreciate Dr. LaRose in a very big way. Winston LaRose. We got to know each other through community work, the Caribana organization. We're board members at the same time. And one of the qualities I got to admire about Winston, do you mind if I call you Winston, doctor? Okay. Is that nothing seemed impossible. The word impossible does not exist in his vocabulary. And that sense of inspiration that he was able to give us, that spiritual and physical support. I remember when we first met, even before we became board members of the Caribana organization, I know this man always with two, I wouldn't call them parcels, I would call them loads in his hands, left and right. And I always wondered at this peculiar man, because at that time I didn't know who he was, this peculiar man always with these two, his hands full. Later when I got to know him, he explained that that was his way of remaining fit. That was his way of keeping balanced. And it made me think, to somebody, he might have been, oh my God, why is he with all these apostles? And it helps to explain why at 80 years old, he's still able to run 100 yards faster than Rosemary. It helps to explain why Rosemary wouldn't want to dance with him, you know? But it's something about the man. And then again, to me, Winston has been and is like threads that have woven our fabric in a very significant way, even when we did not realize that that weaving was taking place. And that's the best way I can think of him. I have to say at this point, Kofi, I'm sorry that York didn't do it first. I'm sorry that we didn't grab him first and say, Dr. LaRose, but I'm sure that that will come. I'm sure it will come. So Dr. LaRose, my personal thank you, admiration for everything you have done. You have been a mentor to me, even when I didn't know and you didn't know that you were mentoring. But sometimes it's only in retrospect we can look at situations and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that's what was happening. And everybody talks about Mr. Jane and Finch. Our work with the Children's Carnival, I can tell you that he was indispensable to the few years that we have been able to engage the children in the Jane and Finch community, get the schools involved and so on. I wish that that can come back again because I think the community really needs it. Cheryl, you might be able to play a role in that, I don't know. But, so I just want to say, Dr. LaRose, my personal appreciation for all the work you've done. It's deep, it's heartfelt. I'm glad that I got to know you. I'm glad that I had the privilege of working with you in some way. Congratulations, well-deserved. And I wish you many, many long, healthy years ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Henry, for those words. Again, even though this is an event in honor of Mr. Jane and Finch, but as this is also an academic institution, I would say it's also a crash course on Mr. Jenan Finch. By the end of this, would have known a lot about him and his achievement. At this time, I will call on Dwayne to give his remarks.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity to be here and honor somebody in this very special moment. My name is Dwayne Genius. I'm the owner of Genius Nation Academic Tutoring Services, as well in Nzuka, the Afrocentric Saturday School we run every Saturday. And I would say, you know, during Black History Month, we often talk about the leaders that we stand upon, the shoulders that we stand upon. And we often don't have the opportunity to honor those leaders because they are no longer here. So we must understand the significance of this moment. It is a very significant moment. We have an elder in our midst. He is an esteemed elder. And we thank everyone. We thank Creator, we thank God for his existence. Dr. Winston LaRose, we thank you for who you are. We thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I came into Dr. LaRose's circle by doing numerous events and being involved in the community. And what drew me to Dr. LaRose is his intelligence and his having a critical understanding of the issues that we face as a people. Dr. LaRose is a thinker. And you know, people who think show up in the world differently than everyone else. They stand differently than everyone else. And they do things differently from everyone else because they have a different understanding. So when we talk about, you know, his activity and why he's so driven, is because he thinks, because he has an understanding. And he's somebody who puts his money where his mouth is. That's why he travels. That's why he can't stop. That's why he's driven. That's why he's a leader. So Dr. LaRose, when I see you, it is an honor to be a part of your circle. And I hope that we would encourage our young people to honor our elders. That is our cultural heritage, to honor our elders. So we honor you, sir. We thank you for this day. And we ask you to continue doing what you are doing, and we will continue to lift you every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, for those wonderful remarks. At this time, I will invite Gertrude to come and present the award to Dr. LaRose.
Again. Before presenting the award to Dr. LaRose, I would like to say something. When I was listening to all of our distinguished speakers, I was thinking in my mind, how can I summarize in one word all of these the accomplishments he has made? And I heard Professor Kofi talking about Ubuntu. I am because we are. But you know, it's not only I am because we are. Ubuntu come to the word Muntu in my language. Muntu means human being. And what Mr. LaRose, Professor LaRose, has done through his entire life and continue to do is because he believes that Black people, each Black man Black women, Black kids, they are Muntu, they are human beings. And then sending the message to the world that Black people, we are human beings. And then we share the common humanity. So for that, we thank you. And we would like to present to you this symbolic award to express our gratitude and to say thank you. Thank you for all you have done for us. We will always remember.
So at this time, I will invite Dr. LaRose to say a few words. The floor is yours, Dr. LaRose.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, and more thank yous, you remarkable audience. Many of you are my good friends. And I must pay respect to my elder, who is in this room tonight. She's older than I am, Zanana Candy. And I want to respect those who have come before me, have trailblazed, and she has, and has led the way. Isn't it amazing how quickly you're forgotten once you're gone? But there are some people who will just never be forgotten, and you're one of them. I want to thank Professor Gertrude Leander for choosing me for this great honor. But since I'll spend some time talking about Professor Leander. But let me thank the speakers who have been here today. I've been so warm and feeling this enormous sense of gratitude for your words. You all have been so kind to me, and you all have known me very well. To my good friend, Dr., and she should have that title, Rosemary Sadler. Since I came to know Rosemary when I did my first interview with her on Gwen Chapman, and Gwen isn't here today, but Gwen had just responded to a newspaper article that I put out in about 1993, inviting people to come and join my organization that I was operating at that time. It was by the Danforth and Moore in Midtown. And we were on Mabity Street. And Gwen was one of the persons who responded. And at that time, maybe a mere 24-year older, she came and applied and joined my organization and became, I have a company called the African Canadian Communication and Broadcasting Corporation. So we've been filming with that for many, many years before I came to Jane Finch. And Gwen was the person who was the host. She would interview people, and that's how she was able to interview Rosemary Sadler at the Royal Ontario Museum in 1994. I think it was Dr. Molefe Asante you just brought up, Rosemary. And this lady has brought a lot of remarkable people to our community. Ivan Van Sertiner among them. And I want to thank her for all of those things. So I came to Jane Finch with a sense of wanting to do something. But let me reach out to my young professor here, Kofi Hope. And Kofi, I knew you longer than 2005, but you didn't know me at that time. But this young man was already at the city being a representative, selected because of his acumen, his skills, his commitment. And then he won a Rhodes Scholarship and went to university in London, England. And I want to thank you for, and he came back and he formed this powerful organization called CEEC, which has made a remarkable difference to our world and to our community and to our Canadian young people. So I'm so happy that those who are here present are able to be here so I can share this moment with you. Now, I don't know what the limit on my time is, but I'm prepared to go for as long as you'd let me. Yeah. But you know, I came to this country as a nurse. I was recruited from England by the director of the South Waterloo Memorial Hospital, who was in England recruiting nursing staff to come here. And so I was one of the interviewees. I was working in operating room in England at that time. And she selected me and I worked at the South Waterloo Memorial Hospital. And there, I feel that place opened up a number of doors for me. My wife just recently married at that time to my first wife, and we just had a baby in Galt in 1965, and his name was Garfield. He's now deceased. That was my oldest. But we had a great open path leading from there to Hamilton. And so I came to Hamilton and went into business when I bought my nursing home and operated it in Hamilton in 1968 and became the president of the Hamilton Nursing Homes Association. But I dabbled in so many things outside of the things for which I'm better known, nursing. And together with this lady sitting here, Miss Inez Daly, I want to acknowledge her. In the early 1900s, together, she led an organization called Black Youth Achievement, Inc., of which I was a part. And that organization organized and developed, I think it was 52 or 54 townhouses on the Hamilton Mountain. And so this is many, many years ago. And so this trail that has been left is something that's very important. But one of the organizations, and Kofi, you covered most of them, many of them, but I want to mention the successful African families, and which I call, first of all, maybe I should talk about the Jane Finch Elders Organization, because Michael Agalepo is here today. His father, Dr. Agalepo, was one of the people who sat on the Jane Finch Elders Organization that I set up many years ago. And Michael is a businessman who I met in the Yorkgate Mall. He's been there since the mall opened. He's just left, and his accident benefit consultants are now located at Finch and Young. He continues a very thriving and successful business. But his father, Dr. Agolebo, one of the earliest Black doctors in this country, was somebody who was on my, together with Charlie Roach and Dudley Laws and many of the names you know. So I have been very pleased to have been able, coming to Jane Finch, to be able to establish this reputation that has brought me all of these accolades today. So I give praise to the people of Jane Finch for allowing me to come in and be there for them, to advocate on their behalf. But I would be, if I do not take this opportunity to mention Linda Morroway, I think I'll be doing a great disservice to the organization that she founded, called Jane Finch Concerned Citizens Organization. So when Linda had an article in the, I believe it was a shared newspaper I picked up and read, I was at Mavity Street at that time with my organization called Access, the African Canadian Community for Entrepreneurial Success and something else. I just contrived that name. But at that time, we were looking at building community housing, and with somebody like Courtney Betty, who was the lawyer we were working with, we were building nonprofit housing and so on and so forth. So my business career goes back a long time. I became a real estate broker in 1978, on the 1st of January of 1978, as a matter of fact, when I became a real estate broker and one of the earliest Black real estate brokers in, I guess, certainly in Hamilton, Burlington, and I'm not sure about Toronto, but my career has spanned a wide range of areas. Now, is Prince King here today, Peter? Could Prince King come up for me, please? This is somebody who I've been mentoring from the time he was born, actually, right? And look, he's already my height, right? But he is in the documentary, Mr. Jane and Finch. You might see him if you've seen that documentary. And from the time he was a baby, I was there, and Peter asked me to be his godparent. So I'm also his godparent. But whenever I have these public occasions, I usually have him come and stand by me so that he could experience this. And he was doing this from a very early age. Outside of that, he was also videotaping and taking pictures over the years. So he comes highly skilled, and he's never really been afraid to stand out and be up there. And you can see how his dad has raised him and is raising him, right? So he's born in the Jane Finch. And I'm sure he will be one of those products in the community that will become one of our great leaders as well. So I'm happy that I've been able to play a role in his life in particular. Now, I want to talk about some of the legacy pieces there, because it's really important to me. I was looking, Cheryl, who is my dear friend and community colleague, and Cheryl, I met you for the first time in the Grand Ravine area, at the Grand Ravine Community Center. You were volunteering there, I think, at that time. So that's a good many years ago, well over 30 anyway. And she still looks so young and pretty as she looked even prettier then, you know? Yeah. So I think that's what caught my eyes with her. Yeah. But Cheryl, I thank you for being there, for doing what you're doing. Together, she and I, this young man, Maurice Michelin, came to her with an idea to set up a nurse practitioner-led clinic. And she came to me, of course, and said, you know, this young man has come, can we assist him? So together, she and I, we work with Maurice Michelin, and we formed the Emery Keelsdale Nurse Practitioner-led Clinic, the first of its kind in Toronto. There were others across the province, but the very first one. Today, the clinic, and before I came in, I checked yesterday just to see who was on the board of directors. There's not a Black person on that. And so this is our history. We open doors, we pave the way, we do things, and other people come in and get the benefit. So whenever you visit either of those clinics, I help to select the sites, I help to steer the development of those two properties, and was there at every beck with the lawyer, and I choose the site at Islington. I decided over Morris's objection that that's the better site. So we have that site location at Islington between Finch and Steeles. So whenever you go by, think of Cheryl Prescott and think of Winston LaRose as having brought this into existence. Now, I don't know how much longer I'll have to live, but I had an episode just a little over a year ago when thanks to the people who check up on me every so once in a while and couldn't find me and they came looking for me. And Peter was knocking on my door and window in Burlington until I managed to crawl up the stairs and open the door. And then I went straight back and threw myself on the bed. But I ended up in the hospital because of COVID. But I defeated that challenger and I spent some time in the hospital, at the Joseph Brand Hospital. And the doctor who, Dr. Shavashi, who insisted on coming to the big event that, thanks to Kofi and Charlie Keel, I was able to get an honorary doctorate from the University of Toronto. Dr. Shavashi, she came to that great event because she was the doctor who looked after me at the hospital in Joseph Brand. I was unconscious when I got there, and she said she is the one that literally brought me back to life. I had no tubes or anything in me because I said to my son that I don't want any of that fancy stuff. If I'm going to die, don't keep me alive by putting tubes and other things in me. I've done my bit. I've had a long journey, a wonderful journey, and a very successful one. So I don't want to be kept as somebody who is just breathing and occupying a space. So with that, and I'm assuming that Prince King will be able to say a few words to me in a moment, right? But I want to thank all of you again, and particularly Professor Gertrude, because Gertrude, you know, I sit on several committees in Toronto, Humber College, the Program Advisory Committee. I helped to develop the Community Development 4-year degree program there. And also at Seneca College. Oh, I would be remiss if I did not mention Dr. Gervin Perron and a very, very special person in, oh gosh, Leolyn Hendricks, who is the founding chair. She was the principal and chair of the Seneca College location at the Yorkgate Mall. So I met Leolyn many years ago, and she partnered with us in the Kiddies Caravana project. And so they used to provide a scholarship annually for the Kiddies Caravana that I started in the Jane Finch area. But also in terms of my Caravana connection, I'm the founding chair of the Eglinton Kiddies Caravana back in 1994. So I had my hands dabbling in quite a few things before I came to the Jane Finch. And just to let each and all of you know, some of you might do, that in all the almost 30 years I've been coming to Jane Finch, I've never been paid a penny. I don't get paid. I've been volunteering from that time. I think I was just about 55 or 56 when I came to Jane Finch. And I've been there for almost 30 years now. And so the invitation that my time is coming to an end, I got to notice just now, but I want to mention one of the major projects we did in that area. In 1990, and I see Simba just walking in. Thank you for coming, Simba Hanley, and he's one of the great community workers that has been there for me as well. Yes, but in 1994, I saw a newspaper article in which Linda Morori was saying that she wanted to take some youth to Ghana in West Africa. So that's what I responded to. And she and I hit it off. And that's how I came to Jane Finch. We went down to Jamaica for the first time. We recruited 5 youths. We had to select them. And then we recruited 5 from here. The 25th anniversary was yesterday. And 4 of those youths from Jamaica, one is a doctor, medical doctor, one is a dentist, Leslie is a dentist, and one is linguist, and he teaches at the University of the West Indies now. And Quende Thomas is an economist and a lawyer. So I don't know where the other young lady is. Here we have Tyler Lewis, the 5 that we took from here. Tyler is now a big businessman. He was just accepted at the university. I think it was Trent he went to here, but he got his MBA eventually. And now I hear he's got quite a bit of money. I need to go after him to come and give back to the community, right? But he lives in Florida now, right? And then we have Keisha Morgan, who is with the school board. She just got married a few years ago, and so on. But Heather Greenwood Davis was the reporter who covered that tour. She had a life-changing experience, and she married the guy who took her to the airport to see her. The Toronto Star paid for her to come, but we encouraged her to come on the journey. She did some significant reporting on that event. And so I can tell you a lot more, but they won't allow me the time to do that. It'll take all day. So again, I guess you didn't know I run track as well, right? So I deliberately started at the age of 65 to celebrate my birthday running track. So now I'm 85, and for the first time last year, I could not run my race because I had a muscle pull up and I had to go down, and so I didn't get to do my 100-meter sprint. But any comers want to come for my 86, I'm willing to take on all comers. This is the man who beats me all the time, but I'll get him one day, right? Could I mention my organization's office? We are at the Yorkgate Mall, and I would like to thank the Yorkgate Employment Social Services for allowing us space there. Oh, incidentally, the University of Toronto, as you know, has honored me with honorary doctorate, but I've donated my archive of several thousand hours of footage to that organization. I offered it to York and met with the dean at the Scott Library, but nothing came of it. But U of T was very happy to grab it, and now they have it, and there'll be a ceremony around picking that up. I want to encourage all of you that are motivated to do good. It's the right thing to do, it's the best thing to do, and the most rewarding thing to do. Professor Gertrude Meander, I'm glad I was there for you when you came, because the group that was making the selection didn't think she was the right person for the job, right? But she brought a delegation in of, I don't know where she got all the students from, but I spoke up on her behalf and defended her all the way. And it's 6 years now since she's been in that position at the Harriet Tubman Institute. And I want to thank Gertrude for doing this today, and her husband, who is also a professor at the university here. And I have to have Gertrude come up and say some words in French because she's bilingual. And the people who are listening away didn't get a word from her in French. Would you like to say a few words, Mr. Young?
I just wanted to start by introducing myself. My name is Prince King Blake, yes. You might as know me as Peter Blake's son. Well, I am. I'm here today to honor him in this ceremony. I'm also here to do good things in the future, right? It's a new year. I hope we get through this as one. And we all want to say thank you. Just thank you for being there, Mr. LaRose, Virginia Finch.
Thank you, my godson. I know a bright future awaits you, and you're in good care with your father here who stands beside you. And you see how smart he is, dressed just like his dad is. They make a statement every time they come up.
Coming up, I would just like to say, not only Mr. Winston LaRose, Dr. Winston LaRose, servant of the people. He's like icon of legend, right? But he's also the best of any time. Greatest of all time, but best of any time. A man that, you know, we're standing on his shoulder. And this is Mr. Junior, Jane and Finch. We have to have the young people inspired around here. York University is probably one of our second home. We run the 100-meter here every year, annual invitation. And as you know, Mr. LaRose is big on health. And for those of you who haven't seen our documentary, Mr. Jane and Finch, that's one of the most breathtaking documentary. It's everybody has something in that documentary, from 5 to 101. Okay, it has to deal with every aspect, every topic, and we have gathered so much award from that documentary. And it's taking off a life of its own. But I always like to say, Mr. Jane and Finch, Black community leader. It's on Google and YouTube. Google, I think CBC Gems and Google Docs, and just have type in the full documentary instead of the theaters. You'll see the whole thing. So that documentary has brought a lot of publicity, and it's taken on a life of its own, and also expose us in all aspects across the Canadian sector. So as I was saying that Mr. Jane and Finch, long live Mr. Jane and Finch. Actually, by the way, 1 year we didn't get to do the 100-meter run. And Mr. LaRose, because the gate was all closed, COVID, everything was locked down. And he said, we got to do this whether rain or snow or sunshine. And, you run around the track, around the circumference of the arena over there, the stadium. And that is one of the most symbolic gesture I've ever seen done. You cannot get to run inside the stadium because of whatever crisis, COVID, and you run all around it, and the tradition must continue. We're talking about a man that we can actually take the baton from and keep running and inspire not only Jane and Finch, but the whole of Canada, which I must say is one of the most popular places in Canada. I know Ottawa is the capital, but Jane and Finch is one of the most popular places in Canada. Go anywhere around the world and say Jane and Finch. So we're not going to just look down on Jane and Finch and have it in a little corner. It's one of the most popular places in Canada. We're proud to, and no matter how high we get, we'll be still looking up to the Jane and Finch community. Thank you again, Dr. LaRose. Peter Blake here signing out. I'll serve you well as your right-hand man. I'm very proud, one of my proudest moments in Canada to serve, right? So, servant of the people, give it up. Some pictures. Yeah, let's take pictures a little bit, pictures. Any cameraman here? Just a little. You want us off the you.
Just say a few words. My name is Jean Nambita, and I'm very honored to be here. And I'm really, really happy and glad that I met Mr. LaRose in the few years. And I'm basically from Rwanda, Uganda, and Norway. And I came to meet Mr. LaRose, whom I met in Canada, to be known in Europe for the great job he's doing and the great job that he has served with the community, not only Jane and Finch community, because he's reached out to many Canadians, many Africans, and I'm working in his office, but I don't see him only meeting to the African people, but all people of different diversity. Therefore, Mr. Jane and Finch, Mr. LaRose, Dr. LaRose, everybody has said a lot about you, and there is a lot that I've learned today that I'm very happy to have met you in my life, and I'm very happy on behalf of my son to have not made it today here. You deserve everything in the world. And the last thing I have to say that with time to come, I hope that there will be a grant in Jane and Finch to honor his name, to continue the legacy, where the grant will be given to the students of Jane and Finch, all in the whole of Canada.
She's also a person, she has Norwegian citizenship, and she's been here for 5 years and doing a lot of community work before she came over to the JFCCO.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. LaRose and everyone else. That brings us to the end of this part. So now we shall move to the next part, which is also very interesting. That is, we shall get something to eat. And we have got, unfortunately, time has run out. So we'll just get something to eat and leave this place in the next few minutes. And we also thank our virtual audience. Thank you for your patience as well. Once again, we apologize. We started late, and we thank you for your patience for being with us. So it has been great being together. Thank you so much, and hope to see you again soon.